Eastern Hills Mall. The day is October 2019, and I find myself amid one of the Halloween weekend events, the pet costume event. While the holidays take over the mall, let's go get a look around inside and discuss the mall's situation. Eastern Hills Mall started out as a development overseen by the familiar legend Eddie DeBartolo. Originally, the mall was going to be called the Buffalo Mall, because when you think Buffalo, you think of a mall about 10 miles away from the city. Although the townsfolk of Clarence called this out, and the mall would become known as Eastern Hills Mall. Construction would finally begin in 1969, rather early in the mall boom. Construction continued for years, with a soft opening happening in November 1971, followed by the rest of the mall in 1972. Original anchors of the mall featured AM&A's, JCPenney, Sears, Jen's, Woolworth, and Hengerer's. Quite the lineup. Around 1981, Hengerer's would be converted to a Sibley's department store, and then in 1987, the mall would go through a heavy renovation and would obtain a food court. Another expansion was made near JCPenney for a Lechmere, but this store never opened. And then, in 1989, the Walden Galleria would open as competition against Eastern Hills, and would steal its title as the largest mall in the greater Buffalo area. In addition, the nearby Boulevard Mall would undergo a major renovation and revitalization, sparking further competition against Eastern Hills. Eastern Hills Mall would undergo more changes in the 90s and the 2000s, as Sibley's became Kaufmann's in 1990, Woolworth would be replaced by Waccama's in 1993, AM&A's would change to Bon-Ton in 1994, and around this time, Eastern Hills Mall was also suffering from decline, as tenants began to flee the mall. Woolworth and Jen's would close down in 1997, and 1998 would see some good news as Burlington Coat Factory jumped for the space left behind by Jen's. Around 1996, Simon and DeBartolo would merger into the Simon DeBartolo Group, before the company reverted to the name Simon Property Group in 1998. However, Simon did not like the direction the mall was going in, and promptly sold the mall in 2003 to a joint venture between Lanham, Woodland Park, Glenmont Financial, and Mountain Development Corporation. Mountain Development Corporation would be the only name to remain attached to the mall's ownership and management to this day. In 2005 would see Burlington Coat Factory depart the mall as fast as it came in, but a cosmetic renovation would be done in the center court and food court in an effort to keep the mall afloat. New tile work would be found in both areas, while the food court would get new seating, new TVs, and an imitation fireplace. This proved to be a modest success, as foot traffic began to pick up a little over the next few years. Burlington Coat Factory was replaced by Dave & Buster's. Orvis would be coming in to replace an Old Navy established in 1998. And the former Woolworth/Waccama's would be replaced by a sports performance park leased by Thurman Thomas. As a side note, October 2006 would see a devastating storm that would cause extensive damage across the Buffalo region. This storm was a major snow squall that occurred unusually early in the season and had brought down multiple power lines and trees, as well as leading to flooding after the storm. A reported 24 inches had fallen in the Buffalo region. Eastern Hills Mall's parking lot was utilized as a staging area for emergency services and would serve as an overnight parking lot for utility, cleanup, and restoration efforts. One moment, I do need to get some pants at JCPenney. Now, moving on. In 2006, Kaufmann's would be converted to Macy's, along with a multitude of other department stores. Inside the mall itself, however, new stores that came in were departing just as quickly, leaving mom and pop stores to pick up the slack. And in 2012, a television station known as WBBZ TV would take residence in the mall, establishing a broadcast studio around 2012. Things were not going well at all for Eastern Hills Mall as the affectionately named retail apocalypse kicked off in 2015. Dave & Buster's, established in the mall, was closed in favor of a new location at Walden Galleria. 2016 would see Macy's depart the mall as the company sought to trim out underperforming stores. 2017 would see Sears close their auto center. However, it wasn't all bad news, as it was announced that a local business called Niagara Emporium would take over the old Macy's space in 2017, planning on operating in both floors eventually. The onslaught continued on into 2018, when Bon-Ton as a company announced bankruptcy, entering liquidation and eventually closing across the nation. Fortunately, a furniture gallery called Raymore and Flanagan would move into the space in 2019. I'm not going to mention Sears very much, since we all know what happened with them by now. Their space is now filled in by a localized chain, the Buffalo Store. So, what does the future hold for this mall? Well, Uniland Development and Mountain Development Corporation would share ownership around 2018. Uniland announced a long-term plan to bring in non-retail businesses and even residential apartment space into the mall, intending on converting it into an open-air lifestyle center. This project would be approved in August that year by Clarence, and in March 2020, before it happened, plans were unveiled to bring in a full-service bar, Polish restaurant, and a bakery into the mall. While it is definitely a curveball no normal person wanted, this lifestyle center plan might be a potential way to revitalize the mall as it reopens. For now, though, we can only wait and see what Uniland and Mountain Development do with this mall. I had a feeling this mall's days were going to be numbered. While it still had some life left in it during my visit, there is no telling what it has done going forward. But still, I had a good time doing a few laps in this mall, even if there was an incident that happened between me, Ace, and one of the mall staff. It's a neat little DeBartolo that's been largely unmolested, save for the 2000s renovations and shuffling of anchors. But I'm just glad I at least got to see this place in person. Well, all good mall walks must come to an end. And the time is just about here for us at the Eastern Hills Mall. I'd like to thank you for joining me in this walk, and I invite you to share some thoughts down below. And if you think others should see this video, then do share it and pass it around. Additionally, I can be found on Minds and Ko-fi. I also have a presence on BitChute I need to set up. And I suppose if you are really desperate, I can be found on Facebook. Well guys, until next time, this is Doomie Grunt, wishing you and the Eastern Hills Mall farewell and good luck in the coming storm.
Rattle me bones!